So this New York Post article is absolutely devastating. It is an astonishing insider's account, a verified insider, by the way, whistleblower, of how leftists commit voter fraud. And it's pretty staggering. Let's get right to it. Here's this article. This is in the show notes. Please read this. It's also up at BonginoReport.com. Spread this article around far and wide. Quote, Confessions of a Voter Fraudster. I was a master at fixing mail-in ballots. An article by the great John Levine. I follow on social media. He's great. Well, let's go to how exactly they do this. Because when you listen, I've been studying this issue for a long time. I read the Heritage Foundation, their whole website they have dedicated to voter fraud, the work of Hans von Spakovsky, who's done work on voter fraud forever. I suggest you Google it. But I'd never even heard of some of these scams. These are just gems. First, let's get to the bona fides. You're like, who is this so-called insider? So the Post, who does good work, they say the whistleblower, whose identity, rap sheet, and long history working as a consultant to various campaigns were confirmed by the Post. Okay, good. This is legit. He says he not only changed ballots himself over the years, but led teams of fraudsters. Wait, teams of fraudsters? I heard voter fraud wasn't real. And mentored at least 20 operatives in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, a critical 2020 swing state. Okay, so now we've established bona fides that a legitimate insider worked for political campaigns, is admitting he's a fraudster and his teams of voter fraudsters who manipulate elections. I thought that stuff didn't happen. The media says it's all a myth and a fairy tale. Wow. Weird how this goes down. Let's go to screenshot number 1 about the war they're fighting. This is from the fraudster. Quote, this is a real thing, he said. And there is going to be a blanking war coming November 3rd over this stuff. If they knew how the sausage was made, they could fix it. Well, let's show you how the sausage is made and how this blanking war is going to go down over these ballots. Let's talk first about loosening the glue. Loosening the glue, what the heck could that mean? To the next screenshot. This piece was so good, you got to read every. I believe me, I left out some of the other stuff. He says, the fraudster, his operatives would go house to house convincing voters to let them mail their completed ballots on their behalf as a public service. The fraudsters and the minions, get a load of this, would then take the sealed envelopes home and hold them over boiling water. You have to steam it to loosen the glue, said the fraudster, the insider. He would then remove the real ballot, place the counterfeit ballot, which they had printed on a photocopier, inside the signed certificate and reseal the envelope. 5 minutes per ballot, tops, said the insider. The insider said he took care not to stuff the fake ballots into just a few public mailboxes. Oh, they've thought this through too, but sprinkle them around town. That way he avoided the attention that foiled the sloppy voter fraud operation in Paterson, New Jersey Council this year, where 900 ballots were found in just 3 mailboxes. If they'd spread them in different mailboxes, nothing would have happened, the insider said. Don't worry. The media's told us it's all a myth and that conservatives are responsible for the street violence. They're always right. I mean, after all, they're journalists, right? Insider. So, again, I couldn't, the piece is long, but man, is it good. He's talking about how the ballots, you can just photocopy them. There are no security measures built into these ballots. You photocopy a blank ballot. You then go to a home, you knock on a door, hey, we'll deliver your ballot. Person turns over the ballot, sealed. They loosen the glue, remove the ballot, take the counterfeit one, fill out their preferred candidate, reinsert it throw the legitimate ballot out, re-glue it up, and send it in. But make sure you don't put them all in one mailbox. God forbid you get caught or something like that. Don't worry, folks. It's all a myth. It's all a fairy tale. Mass mail-in voting, no problems at all. Despite the fact there are problems now. We have insiders speaking. You think the Democrats will call this guy up to the Hill, the Democrat-run House of Representatives, for a hearing? You think we'll hear about it?
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Nah, probably not.
Here's an interesting one. Yeah, probably not. It's probably right there. Here's an interesting one about mail carriers. He says in some cases, mail carriers were members of his, quote, work crew and would sift ballots from the mail and hand them over to the operative. What? In 2017, more than 500 mail-in ballots in New York City never arrived to the Board of Elections for the races, leaving hundreds disenfranchised. The ballots were eventually discovered in April of 2018. For liberals watching, that's a year after the election. For some undetermined reason, some baskets of mail that were bound for the New York City Board of Elections were put off to the side at a Brooklyn processing facility. City elections boss Michael Ryan said at the time of discovery. I'm not indicting all post office members out there. I wouldn't dare do that. Love my mail carrier. It's the best. But you think we may want to look into that charge? That there may be mail carriers involved in this? Maybe find who this guy is and interview him? Just an idea. He's alleging that mail carriers were sifting through ballots in Republican areas and, hey, put those on the side. These good to go. What about the nursing homes angle? There's another angle to this in nursing homes. Oh, there's many angles in this piece. Again, these are just the lowlights. Back to the Post piece. So apparently they hit up assisted living facilities and Joe, they quote, helped the elderly fill out their absentee ballots. He says this was a gold mine of votes, according to the insider. He says there are nursing homes where the nurse is actually a paid operative. And they go room by room by room to these old people who they still feel like they want to be relevant, said the whistleblower. They literally fill it out for them. Wow, this is the trifecta here.
Wow.
It's talking about corrupted mail carriers, nursing home, fraudsters, loosening the glue on ballots and reinserting their own ballots. Surely that's it, right? Gosh, that sounds really horrible. No, there's more. There's actually quite a few more. Here's the last one from the piece in the interest of time. He says, there's another one here. They go to districts where a lot of people are registered voters but don't vote. And then you go, quote, and you fill out index cards with the person's name and district, and you go around the city and say, hey, you're going to be this guy. You're going to be him, the insider said, of how he dispatched his team of dirty tricksters. So at the polling place, the fake voter, pretending to be a voter who generally doesn't vote, would sign in, get on the line, and vote, the insider said. The imposters would simply recreate the signature that appears on the voter roll as best they could. In the rare instance that a real voter had already signed in and cast the ballot, the impersonator would just chalk it up to an innocent mistake and bolt. Don't worry, Dems, nothing to worry about here. Let's do a mass mail-in ballot, mailing ballots, everything. No, let's ignore this stuff. Let's not find who this is. Yeah, by the way, if these were conservative insiders doing this, this would be a national scandal tomorrow. But because there's no indication of that, the Democrats, who seem to worship voter fraud these days, simply ignore it.
You just heard Dan Bongino.